Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another patch notes breakdown. This is 8.18 and we're gonna take a look at it. Hopefully it will be a better patch than the last few have been. Now we are reaching a stage in this year's season, that's what I'm trying to say, where we're getting closer and closer to World Championship, which means that now they have to start buffing in order for the World Championship to be as different as possible and to bring as many different champions as possible. So that means that we're probably not going to see a lot of champions in this patch note, and let's just jump straight into it. So Aatrox, passive healing increased at later ranks, or bonus attack damage increased at later ranks. I haven't seen that much of Aatrox recently, to be honest. More attack damage. I think it's fine for him to be stronger in those late game team fights. I don't think that he doesn't necessarily needs more healing against champions. I still feel like he's a very strong laning phase bruiser. So I don't necessarily think that he needs more healing. But I think attack damage through the late game is fine. And healing in the late game is good too, but it's only to level 3 where you are so right at level 3 you're 25, here you're 22.5. Like, it's obviously not a big difference in terms of what you actually get, and it's against champions, so you're forced to fight champions in order to heal. But I still feel like potentially if you're fighting a lot in some games it will be super strong. But obviously it's about the late game. And for World's patch, I think it's a fine change overall, because they're not doing something drastically to change this guy, which could then make a whole new meta evolve for League of Legends. Also remember, so that's what we're talking about, right? So we're getting closer to Worlds, we're seeing these small patches, small changes. Akali, our base damage decreased. I think that's fine, you have an execute on your second proc. So I think it's fine for you to take away that a little bit of the base damage from it. I already think that she's so strong and brings so much damage that taking this down is not going to kill her immediately, but definitely will tone down her spikes at 6 and 12 and 18 and so on and so on. Right? So Braum, base health decreased. I'm not a huge fan of that. I think that Braum in himself is someone who's supposed to be incredibly tanky, and now this guy is being nerfed a bit. Like, it's not a lot of health he's missing, right? It's like what 36.6. That's what, like 1-2 hits from an early game, from a like laning phase AD carry. But still, like, I feel that his overall theme should be that this guy is super tanky. Now, I don't know what Alistar's base health is, but I think it should be somewhat the same as Braum's, because these two guys are just tanky supports, and that's what they're all about, right? Will it kill him? No, he's still going to be super strong, and will be one of the best. Like, currently my top tier in terms of supports are Pyke, Alistar, Braum, and Rakan, right? That's my top 4. I think Thresh can be made as a top 5, but I definitely think that Alistar and Braum are some of the strongest, and then Pyke if you want to have more roaming capabilities. Kai'Sa, passive damage with decrease at later levels. well, it's only like 5% you miss, right? It's a huge deal in terms of the late game, which they're targeting. But then again, when you're building on hit Kaiser, you deal a load of damage towards that late game, just because of you being able to proc your passive so often. So, I'm not a fan of the changes, but I understand why they're doing that, to try and also complement more of the other AD carries in the meta towards Worlds, while still keeping Kaiser as an opportunity. Lucian, Q damage radio increased at later ranks. I'd be careful about buffing this guy, because he can out of nowhere become a super dominant pick. Now, of course, he's lost a lot of his initial auto attack range. He's not that mobile anymore because of his E being nerfed in like 1 or 2 seasons back. But I'd still be very careful about buffing this guy, because you can still go for the Black Cleaver, Blade of the Ruined King, stuff like that, get these early game power spikes, and now with more damage on his Q, you have to be careful about giving laning phase over Lucian, or he can't just run off. And then the likes of a Kai'Sa, Devourers, and Ezreal, or even a Saya, they will have troubles fighting this guy, because he just brings more damage to the table in the early game than they do. Renekton, E empowered E damage increased, empowered E armor reduction increased at the early ranks. I think that's fine. I mean, like, we have currently we have like a tank meta up in the top side where it's all about Sion and Ornn and Maokai. So having some bruisers in there will be good too. And that's why you're seeing the Renekton and the Aatrox being buffed up, so that they can also complement the overall meta up in that top side towards Worlds. Empower W root duration decreased. I'm a huge fan of Ryze. Still, I love this guy. I think he's one of the strongest, if not the strongest, mid laner right now. 1.5 seconds. It's only like 0.5 seconds you're losing, right? So it's not a huge difference. Definitely means that you will have less of an uptime in terms of casting your spells. But I think that it's only going to like matter for his laning phase poking, because towards the team fights you're probably not going to get that many good rune presence off anyways, because you'll probably be zoned by the front line anyways. So I think that it's okay. Might turn him or tune him down in terms of how strong he will be, but not the biggest of changes. And I still think that he's one of the best because of his overall control of the mid lane and roaming capabilities with his Realm Warp. So definitely still one of my favorites. E base damage decreased, or storm slow duration decreased. I don't think that Sejuani needed to be changed, to be honest. Like, I don't think she's that huge a priority in the mid lane, in the jungle anymore, and I don't think she had to be changed. Now, this is not going to butcher her like immediately, because it's what, like 10 that you're missing out on here, and it's 2 seconds here. I think this is the biggest change, to be honest, because this means that you will have you will have less of a slow in team fights to work with, whereas it's only 10, so it's not going to affect your overall wave clear that much. So I think, again, for team fighting reasons, which you always pick Sejuani for, I think that Glacial Prison is the big change right here, which might just mean that she's still going to be a possibility if you want to have scrap control, but you're forced to hit your Glacial Prison much more, as it is now more punishing if you don't. E cooldown increased, E slow decreased at the early ranks, increased at later ranks for Trundle. I liked that they're changing the slow. Because I think that the biggest problem with Trundle is not that he has a lot of damage. That's fine. But his catch potential with the Pillar of Ice is just so big because of the slow that it grants, right? So now the slow has been lowered. You can still slow people. You still slow more in the late game, just less in the early game. So I think that it's a good change, but I'd keep an eye out on how it works out, because a lot of what Trundle can do comes from his slows. Now this guy has lost half of his slow percentage in the early game. Went from 30 to 15, right? 30 to 15. So I'd be careful about this, and I would watch out in the up and coming patches. But will it be a good counter still? Perhaps. You still have Olaf, you still have Lee Sin. Those guys are good against him, and now he has less of a fighting chance in terms of punishing them once they invade onto him. Wayne, Q cooldown decreased at later ranks. Sorry, early ranks. So more jumping for Wayne. I like Wayne. I think in the current tank meta, she should be present, and if this is what you need to do to make that happen for her, I think that's fine. Tumble is good in laning phase too, so buffing her laning phase a little bit means that she will have a better place come the mid game and the team fights. Victor, first hex core upgrade cost decreased by 100 gold. Oh man, I love Victor. I think he's one of my favorite mid laners of all time. I would love to see him come back, but I think what Victor can do, everyone else more or less can do better. So you have like Rise, who can push more efficiently and probably is better in team fights too, as in terms of controlling and laying out damage. You have Cassiopeia, who are not as good as pushing in the lane as Victor is, but is super good at controlling team fights too. LeBlanc in some senses is also pretty good at controlling the laning phase, and is good at roaming, which Victor sucks at. And Syndra in some senses can also be quite good at controlling the laning phase. So like, I think in terms of fighting against Rise and Cassiopeia, which are currently the top two, Victor should have a hard time. Fighting against LeBlanc, Syndra, Akali should be fine. Cassidy and Annie I'm still looking out for. I think that they should still have a spot in the meta because of the last patch. Will he come back? Maybe. It's not like it's a huge change, and people can still push in fairly efficiently against him. Depends on how much mana he wants to invest into pushing back. But there are some clear ways of shutting down this guy. And if you can outroam him, well, then suddenly you just have a stronger mid laner. Smite auto select, nice. So if you're jungle now, you get smite automatically. Nice. Yeah, so I think that's it. Oh, by the way, Odyssey. I'm looking forward to trying to play that. I think that's going to be interesting. Looks like a fun mode, not necessarily one that you want to play for too long. Anyways, well, with Worlds coming up soon, I think that this patch note is interesting. It doesn't shift the overall landscape a lot. I feel like it's a very bland one. Definitely not a patch note where you think, okay, this is groundbreaking. So we're gonna have to wait and see what happens. I think that the biggest changes are Kai'Sa and Wayne. Those two guys will definitely now jump up Kai'Sa will jump down and Wei will jump up in terms of priority. Akali, in some senses too, because of her loss of damage. But I think that overall, it's not going to change that much. It's just a few nerfs, a few buffs, not something overly crazy, right? So we'll probably have one more patch note before Worlds, if I remember correctly, or at least one or two more. So there's a lot more that can be changed, of course, and next one is probably going to be a bigger one. But with that being said, thank you guys for watching. Remember to follow me on social medias, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. You can find me there and you can follow me and see what I do in my real life and what I do with casting. But with that being said, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.